Hi, everyone. My name is Nelson Piper. I did my leadership interview on Drake, who's the VP of suspension products for a company that I work for called Stemco. The best way to describe what my company is a manufacturer of truck components for suspension, wheel end, brake, and inflation systems for tractors and trailers on like big rig trucks. And I guess the best way to describe what it is that the sales team is we're like the living version of Tommy Boy. To describe this leader, I asked several questions that focus primarily upon what his viewpoints and stresses were on being a leader, as well as what it took to become the leader that he is today, or the leadership position that he has today, and how it's affected him both personally and professionally. And while there are many different leadership viewpoints or systems that can be in place to create a leader, I'm mainly focusing on how this leadership has benefited not only his life, but how it changed his viewpoint on what a leader really was. For him, he started working for a company that was called VW Kaiser Engineering. It started back in the early 60s, and he came on board in early 2000 and was the VP of sales for their company. And he helped grow that company from a $3 million company to 15 million in the space of 7 years. And during that incredible growth and increase, the owners of the company decided that it was time to go and sell to someone else. And they sold their company to what is now Stemco. And for them, this was a huge transitional shift for their business where they had focused mainly on one core or key element of the tractor and trailer. Now they were expanding into a whole nother section that involved several different components and capabilities that Stemco as a whole was not truly familiar with. And during that transition, I asked, what was the hardest part of the job transitioning from being the VP of sales to really not knowing if you had a job? And really, he said that the hardest part was transitioning to a new leader and the leadership capabilities of that leader, but also, I guess, not questioning that leader's capabilities, but more what type of leadership aspects they had and what they were expecting of these new employees. He said the hardest part after that was really telling the sales force that he had been working with for over 7 years that they were no longer going to be a part of this transition. Most of the sales force came from independent sales teams, and they worked in conjunction with many different manufacturers to sell products. So one of those key ones was Kaiser Kingpins, and as such, losing that account meant that not only were these people not going to be working side by side with Drake, but they were also going to stop receiving any type of benefits from future sales of Kaiser Kingpins at all. So a very tough, and he said tear-jerking experience to have multiple conference calls with 10 to 15 people who he had really thought had become friends, to now lose those people and to tell them that part of their livelihood was now gone. It was a very, very tough transition for him. But I asked also, with that caveat of what was the hardest part, what was really the easiest part of this transition. And he said that new management gave them the tools to grow and also gave them opportunities with new salesmen to further grow and expand the Kaiser line, and mainly focusing on that suspension product. So it transitioned the sales force from working with people who no longer reported to the same company, even to now working with all salespeople who are all goal oriented towards one company, being Stemco. So it provided a lot of easier opportunities to not only help train but also correct those that he worked with. Um, After that, he went from being the VP of sales for Kaiser to now becoming the VP of suspension products for Stemco as a whole. So that involved not only the Kaiser product line, but also another company called GAF, and another part of that being our equipment line as well. And when he became the VP over the suspension products, it took several interviews and several months of interviews before he finally got the position. And when he said that, I asked him a few more questions about, really what is the gravity of that entire situation. He just said that it took several interviews because they wanted to find the best candidate for this position as well. It was very difficult to not only say these are the criteria and these are the reasons why you should hire me because of my accomplishments here, but it took a while for him to understand that the leadership that was interviewing him also wanted to know, what are your criteria for success in the future and how are you going to achieve that? So it's not only having confidence in what you've done in the past, but what you are going to do in the future. After that, he said the hardest part of his job was really understanding all of the issues that our customers face, where he used to be working and making sales calls on our customers on a daily basis to now really only seeing them at trade shows maybe 4 to 5 times a year because of what that VP position took for him. He was now responsible for over 200 employees, managing production forecasts, as well as what to do um, with the company moving forward, how to expand and how to grow, which involved a lot of conference calls, involved a lot of traveling to different segments of Stemco's business to help create those things and help them happen. As such, you only get to see a small sliver now of what your customer base is really looking for and what challenges they truly face. So it was a tough task of trying to manage between those two. The last part of that he said was the easiest to deal with there was because on the other side of that coin, because he wasn't seeing those customers as much, it was far easier to deal with any issues or concerns that they may have had when they brought it up. Because he had full autonomy, he was able to basically answer and create solutions for any of those questions rather than relying upon others to do so. And that's my brief interview with Drake. Thank you for your time.